link pointer is a value stored in the zone header of each zone. The value of the link pointer is used by the DCSM module to determine which zone select block is active. To recap from the DCSM overview video, the zone select block is a memory region in user OTP used to store temporary security settings. Each zone has multiple zone select blocks to allow for reconfigurability of particular security settings. Since all security settings are programmed in one-time programmable memory, the user cannot reprogram any fields in their currently active zone select block. But by updating the value of the link pointer, the user can designate an unprogrammed zone select block to be active and program their desired settings in the newly active zone select block. The format of the link pointer should always be a sequence of ones followed by a sequence of zeros, if any. On most C2000 devices, the default link pointer is hex 3FFF. When updating the link pointer, the user should only program the least significant 1 to a 0. Since the link pointer is part of one-time programmable memory, once a bit in the link pointer has been changed from a 1 to a 0, it cannot be changed back. Therefore, the user cannot revert back to a previously active zone select block. With the exception of the link pointer and the JTAG lock enable field, all user OTP locations have ECC protection. This means that for each 64-bit block in user OTP, once any bit is programmed from a 1 to a 0, the value of the entire 64-bit block is permanently programmed and cannot be changed. The link pointer and JTAG lock enable fields are the only fields where the user can repeatedly program individual bits. The table in this slide indicates which zone select block is active for different values of the link pointer. It is important to note that each zone header contains 3 link pointer locations, referred to as link pointer 1, link pointer 2, and link pointer 3. The purpose of the 2 additional link pointers is to serve as a backup in case any bits in the original link pointer are corrupted. This is necessary due to ECC protection not being applied on the link pointer. The user must always program all 3 link pointers to the same value. The table in this slide contains the configurable security settings used by the DCSM module. These settings are divided between the zone header and the zone select block. Depending on the device, some of these security settings may not be available, such as JTAG lock or CRC lock. Refer to the DCSM chapter in the technical reference manual of your selected device to see what security settings are available. In the next slide, we will focus on settings in the zone select block. However, more information on the zone header will be available in a later video in this video series. This table contains the security settings in the zone select block. The most notable security settings in the zone select block are the CSM passwords. The CSM passwords are used to lock and unlock a zone. On device reset, all memory regions are inaccessible until the DCSM module is initialized by the boot ROM. During this process, the boot ROM will attempt to unlock both zones using the default passwords. When the CSM passwords are left unprogrammed, the boot ROM will unlock the zone using the default passwords and disable all security settings for that zone. However, if a user has programmed a custom CSM password, the corresponding zone will remain locked, and security settings will take effect. More details on locking and unlocking a device will be provided in a later video in this video series. The next setting in the zone select block is the grab sect field. This field is used to allocate flash sectors to the current zone. For each flash sector, there are 2 bits in the grab sect field that determine whether the sector is secure or unsecure when the zone is locked. Refer to the technical reference manual for in-depth descriptions of these bit fields. The grab RAM fields follow the same format as grab sect, except these fields are used for securing RAM blocks instead of flash sectors. The exe-only sect and exe-only RAM fields are used to designate a flash sector or RAM block as execute-only. When a memory region is designated as execute-only, all data reads in the specified memory region are blocked. However, instruction fetches are still allowed. The JTAG password low fields are used for programming the JTAG lock passwords. These are used along with the JTAG password high fields in the zone header to disable the JTAG lock feature. More information on this feature is available in the Advanced Settings video in this video series, as well as the Technical Reference Manual. This concludes the DCSM link pointer and zone select block video. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos in this video series for a more in-depth overview of the core concepts and features of DCSM. Additional resources can be found in NEC 2000 Technical Reference Manual, as well as various application reports written on DCSM.